And while we're waiting on the train to depart, we encourage you to go through the museum gallery, which is right next to the ticket office, and also to go visit our display train. We have a executive car from Seaboard Airline, we have a mail car, and we have a baggage car, which you can walk through. And then, of course, we're ready to go on the excursion itself.
And off we go into the pages of history.
Now, we see topsoil and we see vegetation, but once you dig down in a lot of places in Fairfield County, you find granite.
Welcome to the third installment of Jacob's Israel Expedition. I'm your host, Jacob Taylor, and today we are here at the South Carolina Road Museum, as you can see by this beautiful granite sign next to me. Quite fitting for what we're about to see today. A road that at one point hauled heavy blue granite to help build America now carries passengers through the lush forests and farmlands of South Carolina. So come along as we explore the South Carolina Road Museum.
I'm the superintendent of the operating railroad, which means I'm responsible for running the tourist trains and making sure the crew members are all trained properly. And I'm also the curator of the museum and the gallery space in the building.
So the first question I have is, generally with all the places I visit, like whether someone's going to visit by themselves, bring a friend or a family member or their kids, what can they expect when they bring their family here and ride the train during their time here?
Well, what they're going to see first of course, is when they get here, check in at the ticket office. If you've already bought your tickets online, then all you need to do is pick up the tickets. If you haven't bought them, you can buy them then. And while we're waiting on the train to depart, we encourage you to go through the museum gallery, which is right next to the ticket office, and also to go visit our display train. We have a executive car from Seaboard Airline, we have a mail car, and we have a baggage car, which you can walk through. And then, of course, we're ready to go on the excursion itself.
For even more excitement, you can purchase a cab ride ticket to get the engineer's view of the train.
So it's about an hour and 25-minute ride. It's a 5-mile ride from Rockton, South Carolina to Ryan, South Carolina, on the railroad that used to run to the 2 granite quarries, one at Ryan, which is 5 miles, and the Anderson Granite Quarry, which was 12.5 miles. The railroad doesn't quite go that far now. We own 11.5 miles of the track. We restored 5 of it. And during the train ride, you'll have an opportunity to leave the station here at Rockton, cross behind some lights and gates at Highway 321.
We thank everybody for riding. Your tickets pay for about 75% of our costs. In an average mile of track, there are approximately 2,000 railroad ties. 1 mile, 2,000 ties. The ties cost over $50 a piece if you went out to buy railroad ties, not installed, just dumped on the side. So that's $100,000 in railroad ties for every mile of track. So when I say thank you for buying a ticket, I'm quite serious. We don't have to replace all of them. We replace only ones that are really bad. We've kept up on it, so we're really in good shape. There's been no deferred maintenance around here. We try to run a safe operation, and we try to keep everybody happy, and I try to make jokes.
From the cab view of the engine, we begin to break through the lush forest and into the farmlands. South Carolina is one of several states where sharecropping took place. In the area, you can find evidence of sharecropping cabins which housed the farmers who tended to these very fields.
Narrow and level. The train used to go up the hill where the road goes, over the hill and then down. And then in 1924, I can't believe it's almost 100 years ago, they came through with dynamite and blasted through the hill. Now, we see topsoil and we see vegetation, but once you dig down in a lot of places in Fairfield County, you find granite. And there are other quarries that are still functioning, not far from here. There's a new quarry that's opening up, so there's a lot of granite. At its deepest point, this cut is probably 30 or 40 feet deep.
We eventually reach the halfway point on our trip at the Ryan Rail Yard.
Down into the yard at Ryan, which is where the yard put together the trains, where the crushed stone operation existed. Most of the equipment is gone. There are some maintenance away cars and some other cars stored down in Ryan as well.
These are called transfer cabooses, and they're pretty uncommon, and are used for maintenance. But we use this as a fire car. We have connections for hoses and sprays. We fill this tanker with water, and this is what we do twice. There is a steam locomotive in here that runs up and down, and we run that thing through first to wet the ground so we don't have brush fires. We have a lot of extra rail. We have a lot of extra railroad ties.
Not before too long, the train reverses in the other direction, headed back to the station. Shortly after crossing Highway 321 again, we arrive back at Rockton Station.
Well, we start off after winter with trains at Easter time. We go down about 3.5 miles to a piece of property that we own, and we have activities there with the Easter Bunny. We have G-scale trains running, games that the children can play. There's a food vendor down there as well. It's about a 2-hour excursion, including the time you're on the ground down at Greenbrier. So, and then at Halloween, we do the same sort of thing to the same piece of property with Halloween-related activities that are down there. Christmas, we run our Santa trains, which operate on 4 miles of the railroad. Santa Claus rides the train with us and walks through the train, talks to the children, stoops down to have pictures taken with them, you know, typically what a Santa Claus does. So instead of having to wait in line at the mall for Santa Claus, you sit down and ride the train and Santa Claus comes to you. We also do two evening trains a night during that time period as well, where we actually serve hot chocolate and cookies, and Santa Claus is on the train. We read stories. So we actually do those as well at Christmas time. We do school charters, senior citizens charters during the year. Any kind of a group that wants to do a special charter, we do those. And we're working on some other specialty trains as well, which we hope to introduce in the next year or two.
Yeah, so going on to the specialty trains, one of the things I noticed is like the different classes, like the levels of like the different types of service on each car. Like you have open air cars,
Right.
you have coach cars, dining cars, and the other new cars that you recently gotten from Amtrak and donated. You've gotten a few circus car trains. Can you explain those?
Okay, well, of course, in the summer, we principally run the open air cars and a couple of cabooses. We run the cabooses as an opportunity for you to pick up one ticket for the whole caboose, and you're able to bring 10 people with you. And we started that with COVID, so you could bring a group you're comfortable with, and did that as well. We pull a coach with us on the summer trains, but it's only there in case we get inclement weather. We can move people from the open air cars to an enclosed car. Halloween, Christmas, and Easter, we're running coaches as well as open air cars if the weather permits. As well, we have some bi-levels, which came from Virginia Railway Express cars as well. We run those on a regular basis, and the cabooses we run on most of our trains as well, that way as well. The Ringling cars, which we acquired from Ringling Brothers 5 years ago, we're waiting until we can get a generator car built because they have heat and air conditioning in those cars. Right now, we don't have anything that can provide the power to those. So that's one of the ongoing projects we're working on now, is to provide power to those. And what we'll do with those cars then is still kind of up in the air, but we'll certainly probably run them at Christmas time. And you can rent one of and those cars were basically dormitory cars for the working people for the circus. So they're private compartments, and then the last car, which is my favorite, is the 11-compartment car, which had clowns. That's where the clowns live.
It's kind of, you know, it's very interesting, like, how these cars were built, because, like, they had to have all the capabilities and functions of keeping, you know, the entertainers, you know, on the railroad and at their different performing destinations, because they were out on various months, like, touring. So they had to be able to, you know, have running water, have, you know, all the basic necessities that you have in a normal house, right? So, and those all do take electricity to run.
The catering is provided by Little Pig's Barbecue out of Columbia. If the description of the meal I'm about to give you doesn't make your mouth water, I don't know what will.
Sure, the barbecue dinner train is, we leave here about 6:30. Take the trip down to Ryan, which is about a 35-minute ride down to Ryan.
2 blasts of the horn means we're moving forward, or westbound in this case. And off we go into the pages of history. Coming up on the left-hand side of our train, you'll notice just a wooden pole sticking out of the ground with a white top on it. The white top has lettering that reads Summit, 584 feet. This means we've reached the highest point on the Rockton, Ryan, and Western Railroad. From here, we'll start going downhill towards Ryan Quarry.
We have a granite building. There used to be the office building for the granite quarries, which we serve the barbecue in. We serve Little Pig's Barbecue. They're from Columbia. They bring up couple different kinds of barbecue at least, and all the normal barbecue trimmings, including banana pudding for dessert. We serve those in the building down there. And then we try to time the ride back so you're running along the ridge line around Roof and Greenbrier at sunset. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. We don't set a time we're going to depart from Ryan to come back. We kind of wait till everybody's had enough barbecue and sort of wander outside and are ready to go. So sometimes we're a little late, sometimes we're a little early, but we usually see a pretty nice sunset even if the sun's already set.
Yes.
Time we go across that ridge.
Says we're going west.
First of all, it helps support us because we are an all-volunteer organization except for one part-time administrative assistant. So it helps support the maintenance of the cars and the track. But the perks for you are an opportunity to get a 10% discount in our gift shop. During the summer, you're able to ride the trains at no cost, space available. If we have space available on the open-air cars or the transfer caboose, you're able to ride at no charge at all as well. And opportunities to get first opportunity to buy tickets on special trips. We notify our membership, for example, periodically we run what we call Nature Tracks, which is a trip with Rudy Mankey, who's a very famous naturalist. And we put him on the front of the open-air car and with a microphone, and as we ride the 5 miles of the track, he points out the trees, the birds, the fauna, whatever we may go by. And we stop the train whenever he says stop it so we can get down and go pick up a turtle or a snake or whatever it might be. So the first people who are notified of those special trips are members as well, including our Valentine's dinner trains. We run those the Friday and Saturday closest to Valentine's, and there's a list of people who are on there, including our members, and it's a first come, first serve. They sell out pretty quickly.
Gates and lights and the armadillo. But we're going to blow our whistle like crazy, and I don't get any respect. That whistle is louder than me, which is amazing, but it is nonetheless. So we're going to let that happen.
First thing you have to do to become a volunteer is you have to become a member. That's because you're covered by our insurance policies. We see here if you fall or something, our insurance will cover some of the costs of taking care of that. So we require that you first be a member of the museum, which is a $35 family membership or $25 for an individual is in there as well. And basically the volunteers do everything. We have some volunteers who are here maybe 2 or 3 times a year for our special events. The guys who run the G-scale trains, for example, they come Halloween and Easter, and maybe we see them one other Saturday, but they're here. And then we have others who are here Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of most every week, doing everything from fixing the plumbing to locomotive repairs and maintenance, track repairs and maintenance. We do all our own maintenance ourselves for all this equipment as well, so you can do that. We have volunteers that work in the gift shop, ticket office, car host, people who ride each car and talk to the passengers and give them a little bit of information about the railroad as we pass by various sites along the way.
So thank you so much for your time, Mr. Rochestrup.
This is all the time we have at the South Carolina Railroad Museum. Come and relive the days when the railroad built the country on granite. Witness the pride volunteers put into their work, maintaining the railroad and the museum. Whether you are going to ride the Blue Granite Express or the barbecue dinner train, you will have an adventure waiting for you and your family and friends. So until next time, see you down the line.